Go ahead, Steve.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'm looking at the list of attendees. I don't see any newcomers here. Couple of quick announcements, I guess. The we are planning, and maybe maybe this will be part of your update. I'm not sure, but we're planning some events for the Transparency Exchange API, Qualicon, a hackathon, a few other things. And I believe there's opportunities in the other update I have is that OWASP Global AppSec EU will be in Barcelona the last week of May, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. There's an opportunity there to do potentially some Ecma TC54 meetups as well. Does anyone else have any announcements they'd like to share?
I have some news-related items related to Pearls, but they can be handled in the TG2 feedback. Your call.
All right. Very good. Let's actually, I know you've got a bounce, Philippe. So let's actually go with your update first, and then we'll go to Ale.
If you may just, sorry, Steve, just a review of the agenda of the minutes
Oh,
of
I'm
the past
sorry.
meeting, please.
I completely missed. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. So these are the minutes from the prior meeting. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to kind of read through this. But any objections to these minutes as is? All right, I hear none. Thank you, Samina. And with that, Philippe, if you can give us an update.
Yes. So we've been holding 4 meetings of the task group 2 for Perl over the last, well, 2 months, because that's actually every 2 weeks. And we are doing good progress. In terms of general news, I was participating at the Open Source Software Summit from the Linux Foundation in Vienna a couple of weeks ago. And I was actually in awe that there were so many discussions around package URLs. So that was interesting. Other bits of news, found out yesterday that there's actually a whole page that's discussing package URLs in the CERT India SBOM guidelines, which were published a couple of days ago. I've pasted the link in the chat. You can add that to the minutes. It's unfortunately difficult to reach for whatever reason if you're not in India. I was not able to get the document. I had to add somebody that was in India, but you seem to be able to get to it, so that's good. So interesting to see that package URLs are referenced in the German BSI guidelines for SBOM, in some of the CISA documents for SBOMs, and the CERT India SBOM guidelines. So all good things. Beyond this, we're doing progress around multiple directions. The big one is to ensure we can go through the list of 150 plus issues and pull requests on the Perl spec repo. And there's been awesome work that's been done by an health helper that's working with me, John Horan. I know if you can join today. I don't see him. I'm pasting the link here to the Google Doc he's been working on. The goal there is to ensure we can prioritize and organize the work efficiently. I've invited him also to help maintain and triage all these issues. And he's working on making sure they're tagged based on package type and else. It's going to help us structure the review work for the standardization, basically. That's about it. Otherwise, if there's folks on this call that want to participate and help with the triage process, they will be much welcomed. I know maybe Jan, I could rope you in, maybe Ole, and others. There's just lots of work to make sure we can address all the comments and help make sure we get a full proper input for the community and work towards standardization. So that's about it on my side. We have meeting notes which are published on the Git repo, and the meetings are also recording on GitHub. So if you're not able to participate, which is very unfortunate, you can still catch up online, at least with these two.
All right, Philippe.
Any questions or feedback, questions or things you guys want to bring up?
Well, since we have a little bit of time, there's been a lot of discussions in another OWASP forum, the SPM forum vulnerability meetings, where they discuss package URLs for commercial software and other pieces. Both Steve and I have tried to more or less force them into your group with those discussions. I don't know if Tony or Tom has
I've received
up.
that. Yes, I've received an email yesterday to discuss the topic. So definitely, yes, it's going to be on discussion. I think the topic of packages which are off package registries is there's two sides to it. There's one side which is every piece of proprietary software, which is the interest of Tom. The other topic is things like Command C, C++ packages. We've discussed that quite a bit in the past, Ole. And they're two sides of the same problem, which is Perl is great when things are in a package registry. It's there's a few blind spots otherwise if you're not.
And we need to, you and I need to discuss in our groups and with each other how the different, because we have a different identifier that plays a wholly different role in Transparency Exchange API, and we need to make sure we deliver the same message, but we can coordinate that later on.
The difficulty is going to come with something. So in all cases, for things which are off centrally managed registries and centrally coordinated package registries, I don't think there's a way out to actually create a centralized registry of sorts.
No, I keep saying that the whole point is that Tom speaks about guessing. I say no. The manufacturer needs to set the package URL, typically the software ID type, and no one should be able to guess.
Agreed.
Then Tony speaks about using package URL for resolving stuff, and I say, well, you're mixing discovery with identification, and the main focus now have to be identification. But the Transparency Exchange identifier, that's for discovery. So I think we can sort this out, but we just need to document this and publish a shared statement.
I'm completely aligned with you there. So the whole point is that, to your point, we don't want things to be guessed. Either they're obvious and non-ambiguous, or we need somehow to have mechanism where there's someone that says this is it.
Yeah, but the main problem here was that they wanted to start adding stuff to package URL outside of our working group for package URL, and we tried to get them inside instead. Since we now have a standardization process for package URLs.
There's a community that already exists in the standardization process, and it would make absolutely zero sense to have something happening elsewhere. Completely. So as I said, I received an email yesterday. I will reach out to these folks to make sure we coordinate correctly.
You and I can have a discussion beforehand, Philip.
Yeah, there's a lot,
Okay.
definitely. So let's have a separate discussion. There's a lot of interest also around C++ packages that are off package registries. I've discussed with many folks when I was in Vienna on the topic. And,
But
yeah.
let's take that separately. But
Yeah,
good job
completely.
with the working group.
Yeah. So anyway, we're on the working group. Just to finish, we're making progress and trying to tackle. Still trying to target somewhere in January 2025, Q1 2025 at the latest. I don't want to be too ambitious. To present to this committee a version 1 of the Perl spec. And as we've discussed with Steve in the task group, verse the version range specification that has been merged, by the way, will come a bit later.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Thanks for the update, Philippe. Any questions for Philippe? All right, Ole, update on TG2.
Can I share some slides if you stop sharing?
Absolutely.
Steve?
Oops.
I just have a 2.5-hour presentation, so don't worry.
Yeah, just a quick, since he wasn't here during the usual opportunity, Jordan joined. Jordan, did you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Chris. I'm Jordan. My employer is Hero Devs. I've been involved with TC39 in Ecma for about 10 years, but this is my first time in TC54. I was informed of TG2 spinning up, and that's end-of-life standards is highly relevant to my employer. We sell long-term support for end-of-life open source software in partnership with the maintainers. And I'm very happy to be involved in any form of standards around this sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
And I just removed your slide from this presentation. But anyway, welcome, Jordan.
Thank you.
I just want to give a quick update on the Transparency Exchange API. And Samina, I will mail you the slides later. Overall, we have one API for the consumer of artifacts, one API for publisher. And I think we're in pretty good shape with defining the various data structures we need for doing this. We have also defined a document for discovery using DNS and package URLs, UIDs, EN barcodes, other identifiers. We're not trying to create a new registry because that's way too painful. On the consumer API side, we have a very early version of an open API spec that we're going to merge to the repository soon. We have ideas on authentication authorization that exist in PowerPoint slides, but not in the repository. I need to transfer those. And we have some ideas with security architecture, digital signatures, and so on that we're discussing with, among others, the IETF SCIT working group. On the publisher side, we just started. We had a brainstorm meeting yesterday, and I've been having a couple of other conversations because the brainstorm meeting was me and Mark Simmons. Very good meeting, but very few people. But to give you an overview, what we see is that you have some sort of T service and a T storage. We want to separate that because there are projects already, like Maven, that already publish somewhere with a URL their SBOMs openly without any authentication authorization, but they still need to have a T service to find those documents. So we have the consumer API on the right-hand side, where we use DNS, and we could actually also validate stuff, statements with SCIT. And we have a publishing API. And we're now trying to figure out what the publishing API looks like. And we see that there are multiple use cases here of jokingly called teapods. Could be a third-party service where we buy the service to publish to our customers. And in a large enterprise, you may have an official customer-facing T service with signed SBOMs, but you could also have an internal T service for compliance that get all the beta releases, pre-releases, all kind of stuff. And you may have a process where you have automation for the internal teapot, but there's a manual release process for the official one. But this is just one model. If you have other ideas, feel free to contact me so we can document all the various use cases. But for the publishing API side, we see that there will be a need for CLI clients, a web GUI, interface directly with platforms like Dependency Track or other platforms, commercial platforms, for publishing information to T. But if you have any ideas or thoughts or directly see that we're dead wrong here, please let me know. We had a discussion this morning with Apache, and we realized that we need to discuss with the various package systems out there how they see and how they publish their artifacts today, especially SBOMs, but in the future, VEX files. We need to figure out a bit more detailed integration to Skit and see how signing fits into the workflow. And here's our URLs that you probably already have. Any questions? Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Ale. Lots of great work going on there. I think one challenge that the group probably has is just getting, as you said, more contributors, right? So please reach out to your respective networks. This is kind of the, this is, in my opinion, this is one of these specifications that's going to be almost as important as SBOMs themselves, right? Because SBOMs are never going to be operational until you have a way to autonomously share this information with others in the supply chain.
No, it needs to be automatic. I think that's one of the key points here. When I'm in discussion with various companies, we talk about the cost of manually handling all these artifacts. That's way too high, and especially with VEX files, that's going to have frequent updates. But in order to reach out to the industry, we're planning something we internally call KoalaCon, but that's a 2-hour Zoom meeting where we will explain what Transparency Exchange API is, that is going to be standardized in Ecma TC54, and the need for their software to integrate either as a publisher or a consumer. We're also going to have Dependency Track there to discuss how it fits into their architecture, especially the new architecture, Hiatus, which is highly distributed, where we can plug in both consumers and publishers on the message bus. And that's very exciting.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Ale.
You're welcome.
All right. Let me reshare my screen here. And jumping to the next agenda item. We have a proposal for establishing a new TG. And if accepted by this group, this would be TG3 for the common lifecycle enumeration. So let me open the proposal here, as well as the link to CLE. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to pre-read this. Unfortunately, Benji, who is the co-leader of this project. So first of all, let me step back. CLE, Common Lifecycle Enumeration, is an OWASP project. Just like CycloneDX is. The work started within that community. And we have it to the point where we know we're not going to boil the ocean. We have a we have a very good idea in terms of the scope and what's going to be delivered. And we're at a point now where we believe that alignment with TC54 is possible and probably crucial for its success. Let me pause and just ask the group, does everybody know what CLE is?
Yes.
Who does not?
I could use a refresher.
Okay. So CLE, if I go to this document here, CLE is essentially a way to address common life cycle events that happen in the course of a product's life cycle. That product could be a commercial, it could be open source, could be a piece of software, could be a piece of hardware, doesn't really matter. Some of those events revolve around what something is called, its name. CLE will certainly not solve the naming challenge. The naming problem is far too complex for CLE to solve. However, there are certain corner cases that CLE can actually help with naming. For example, when a marketing team decides to rebrand a piece of software and suddenly it's called, B today as opposed to A, and it was yesterday. So that happens all the time. Mergers and acquisitions, that happens. Either the entire company is acquired or just that piece of software. So we're trying to capture those types of things. Also, very common life cycle events are milestones, and milestones just happen to be, things like end of life, end of support, end of guaranteed support. These are also milestone type of events, but these are not one and done, right? This is not just because something is end of life doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, right? Products actually become end of life and then they are, general availability again. This happens all the time in commercial software. It happens occasionally in open source software. For example, Bootstrap, which was a UI framework originally developed by Twitter. Version 3 was the only GA version available. They end of lifed it and focused their efforts on the alpha of version 4. And once version 4 became stable, they actually went back to version 3 because that's what everybody was using. And they supported that for a while. And then it became end of life again. So the entire concept of CLE is to be able to have a time series specification to capture all of these types of events. So with that, this is the scope and program of work. Has everybody had a chance to kind of read through this?
Yep.
All right. Does anyone, and Benji unfortunately couldn't be here today. He's dealing with a fire at his employer. He works for a company that specializes in end of life. They are currently not an Ecma member, but right now, at least for the time being, unless there's somebody else that wants to take the convener, which is essentially a chair of the task group, is there any objections to forming TG3, which would be common life cycle enumeration?
Oh,
It's a good thing.
Nope.
Yes.
Yes.
Support the new TG.
All right.
I think we do need to nail down the convener as part of chartering. And are we trying to get this in time for the Excom meeting?
No, this was not aligned with the Exicom. In fact, my update to that I supplied to Ecma last week only mentioned that we might be forming TG3, but we just so happened to agree upon the scope and program of work last week. So, excuse me, this week. So the timing is just, but it's mentioned in the update. If we go ahead and proceed with this TG, then we can just update my chair's update to include the fact that we've actually formed it.
And Steve, this is Samina. I have also mentioned it in my report for new work items. So if the committee agrees to this new TG, yes, you should do a revision one of your chair's report, and it would be a welcome to hear the new topic at the Excom.
Got it.
I would like to emphasize that this work goes hand in hand with the Transparency Exchange API. We're looking very closely in order so we can actually publish some CLE data in the API, so users of the API can know the lifecycle status of different versions of a product.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Ale. Because the Transparency Exchange API is in fact an API, sharing of the supply chain artifacts like SBOMs and stuff like that, that's fairly elementary, but the largest use case that we believe is going to be API driven. And CLE is going to be an important part of that.
And we have to understand that this is really, really critical to get in place for the implementation guides for the Cyber Resilience Act, because the Cyber Resilience Act have very clear statements about the product lifecycle and the support we have to do during the product's lifetime, which is defined both by the manufacturer and the market authorities. And 10 years after that, we have to have all these documents stored and available. So this automation of, or I would say, defining a syntax for defining lifecycle will be critical.
Absolutely agree. The FDA already requires end of for medical devices, and yep. I know other industries are also kind of following suit. Thanks, Philippe.
Bye. That's awesome, by the way. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. So are we in agreement as a TC on adopting TG3?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Chris
Awesome.
has his hands up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we, as part of the establishing and chartering the TG, we do need to nail down the conveners. So
that's true.
I notice like it's a Benji or Steve or someone else TBD. How do we close the loop on? And you can have multiple conveners, but what was sort of still being decided with regard to that?
Well, XEOL is not currently an ECMA member, so technically I do not believe that they can be a convener. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does anyone want to be a convener of this group other than me?
I'm happy to join you and do it together.
But is your company, Jordan, an ECMA member?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Perfect. Don't you love it when people step forward like that?
Exactly. Did I get that name and the company name correct?
Perfect.
What's funny is that this will be the second TG3 that Jordan's a convener of.
That's true.
Because he's one of the conveners of TC39 TG3 as well, which is the security task group.
I just like 3, I guess.
Good number.
It's your lucky number.
It's a good number. Thanks.
Fantastic. All right. Are we settled on the conveners now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, very good. Samina, when can the website be updated?
I would do it after the Exicom next week. So
Okay.
I think we should present it, talk about it, and then.
Got it. All right. Well, this is fantastic. Thank you everyone for your support. This is really exciting work, really important work that we're going to be doing. So thank you for the support for that. And again, kind of like what I mentioned for the Transparency Exchange API, please reach out to your network. If you believe that, there's certain folks that you think would be interested in not just the milestone events, but solving some of the naming challenges as well, like aliasing and, M&As and in that sort of thing. Please kind of invite them into the group if you could. All right. With that, let's move back over here. All right, some updates on the feature working groups. The threat modeling working group is proceeding as planned. There's a ton of work to do in this group. Just to kind of recap, we've aligned the thought leaders, the open source projects, the commercial vendors that support the threat modeling industry on aligning everyone to use CycloneDX. Right now, we're getting educated because most of us come from a security background. We're getting educated a lot on privacy by Kim Wutz, who is the creator of Linden, which is a privacy-based threat modeling methodology. Those meetings are recorded, published on YouTube. Blueprints is also coming along, although a little bit more slowly, I think. It's where we're trying to currently capture behaviors in terms of what an application actually does or is, or is supposed to do. That way anomaly detection can be possible. So that group is progressing. OSS sustainability is also doing pretty well at this point. This group is is coming from it from two different angles. One, if you consume SBOMs, then it would be good to get the sustainability information so that if you discover that you use a project and it's really important to your organization or product, you have various ways that the maintainer has asserted that you can help give back. The other approach that we're doing is kind of like a security MD, whereby the maintainer themselves can assert in their own repo the sustainability information and actually keep control of that. And we believe that this will greatly improve things like scorecard that OSSF produces and some other metrics as well. Patents. This one is interesting. This group is working on representing patents and intellectual property inside an SBOM. The good news, I think, from an adoption perspective, is that we've discovered the availability of a really, really robust specification that handles pretty much every patent intellectual property use case imaginable. So there is absolutely no reason to reinvent the wheel here. So this patent working group might actually end up being short-lived and might end up just being some external references and possibly some documentation updates. So we'll see. One update that is not on here is because the meeting literally just kicked off this morning, is the cryptography feature working group. Now, this This working group was originally responsible for the entire CBOM specification in CycloneDX. That made its way into version 1.6. CBOM is being used. It's being looked at by pretty much every government agency at this point, every world government, any kind of regulated market that cares about cryptography is kind of looking at CBOM. And based on some feedback, it was decided to reconvene this group because there's some improvements that we would like to make to the CBOM specification for 1.7. So the first meeting of that kicked off today. The recording will be published on YouTube later today. So with that, I'll pause and see if there's any questions. All right. Documentation. I was hoping to have a documentation update for you today. Unfortunately, I just don't have one. I'm told that there's only 24 hours in the day, and that's kind of surprising to me. But yeah, if anyone wants to assist me with the documentation, specifically, I'm looking at EC markup. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Is this about converting the CycloneDX stuff?
Yeah, this is
Let's see.
about using the markup language that TC39 has created for their documentation, because it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, they've spent a lot of work doing this. And
I will say your new convener of your nascent to be confirmed convener of TG3 here is an expert in EC markup. So maybe he wants to sign up to give a hand with that as well while we're at it.
I'm happy to take a look at it. I don't know if I want to keep adding stuff to my plate at that rate, but yeah.
Right now,
if you take one step forward in this meeting, you might as well take several.
Yeah, we're starting small. We're starting small. So the plan right now is to package URL. It's obviously widely used. And the specification is basically already written. We just need to, well, it needs a lot of work, get it Ecma-fied, for lack of a better word. But it's short. It's not an 800-page document. It's going to be, maybe a 30-page document. So we would like to start there, start small, just to kind of validate that the EC markup is actually going to work for us. I think it will. I just kind of need to see it in action. And then once we kind of prove that that yes, this is useful, we can use it, then we plan to expand that to other things. For example, the Transparency Exchange API, and then of course CycloneDX, which is a pretty large document at this point. That'll be the hard part, but just proving that it'll work with something small like package URL is kind of what we're aiming for. So if you'd like to work with me on that, I would certainly welcome the expertise. And that is all the updates that I have. Does anybody have any topics that they wanted to bring up today?
I just added a note in the chat that I think we should make an event on the creation of the new task group and write something on the OWASP blog on the common life cycle, because we haven't really spread the word, and maybe connect it to the Cyber Resilience Act. So
yeah, would you be willing to write something up? It doesn't have to be long, Ole. Would you be willing to write something up?
I think I wrote we should work with. I included myself.
Okay.
I was inspired by Jordan here. I made a mistake, but I have to stand by it.
All right.
I can start.
Yeah.
I'll get in touch with Benny, so both of us write it, because I would like also to emphasize the connection to the Transparency Exchange API.
Yeah, and we should probably develop some some short and sweet, less than 300, less than 300 characters, maybe 400 characters,
Yep.
social media type stuff to post on like LinkedIn and maybe other places as well.
I think I, by mistake, published something on the common life cycle
Did you?
that Vinod republished on the CycloneDX or dependency track or something.
Okay. Yeah, we
But
should
yeah,
probably
absolutely. We can
redo
write
that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
can also post that on Ecma, on the Ecma spaces, so that would be very good. I think
Oh,
the
that's
refer-
beautiful, Stamina.
I mean, I think
I'll-
it's very relevant, and we're doing this together, so I'd
Yeah.
like to support that. So when you have the text, please do share it.
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic. Do we want to set a deadline for this? Do we, I'm out tomorrow. I'm on just taking one day, but do we want to maybe get something
I would
by
say
this time next week?
Thursday in a week. Yeah. Yeah.
Thursday next week?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's try to get that done then. The Exacom is also next week, right?
It is. It's on Tuesday. You'll get the Zoom link shortly.
Okay. All right. Very good. I will send you a revision then, Samina, to my update. I don't know if you've made any changes to it or Isabel has made any
No,
changes to it.
it's fine. It is as you have sent it. So if you sent a revision 1 at your earliest, that would be great.
Okay. Got it. All right. That is all that I have. Does anybody have any topics that they wanted to bring up?
I just wanted to say thank you to Jordan for his participation, and it's always great to see more activities in the TCs, and this TC is doing great. So, Jordan, welcome, and thanks for raising your hand for all that work.
Absolutely. There's no shortage of it.
And do remember, you have Aki to support you also on the document side when you do
Yes.
have questions.
Yes. Yeah. I met with Aki.
Chris Chris raised a hand.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, so when is TG3 meeting?
What we decided is, so right now we have a community call within OWASP. However, what we decided is to reuse that time slot specifically for TG3. There's no sense of actually having a community call and then a TG call, basically kind of doing the same thing. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're going to repurpose that existing call to TG3. Let me find out where's the
Is it on
calendar.
Friday?
Oh, then there's a Common Lifecycle Enumeration Working Group meeting. That's different?
No, that's the one we're going to, that's a time slot we're going to, it was yesterday.
Sorry, I'm laughing because it's the exact same time slot as TG3, TC39. So you've got both TG3
okay.
meetings overlapping.
Okay, well, we will have to find another time then. Fantastic. Okay.
What are the odds?
So both TG3 meetings are the exact day, exact time. Fantastic. Let's see. Now we meet
alternate which one I attend.
If it's Wednesday at noon Chicago time, then yes.
Yeah. It happens every other week. When does
ours is weekly. TC39, TG3 is every week.
Every week. Okay.
So
all right. Let's I'll make the introduction between Jordan and Benji, and we can kind of sort out when we want to change that that aligns with people's schedules. So
Steve,
Jordan, yeah.
Sorry, Steve, you should introduce me to Benji to talk about his interest in working as an invited expert or a member.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will. Yep, absolutely. All right. With that, if there's nothing else, then we can give you 10 minutes back.
Thank you.
We'll
As
Okay.
use
always.
them in a good way.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Thank you all for
Thank
your
you.
support and contributions. Truly appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye now.